There's a moment in life so rare, so powerful, that it can shake the ground beneath your feet. It's a moment that feels almost impossible, especially if you've been in the kind of relationship where silence was louder than words, where distance was stronger than closeness, where you kept wondering, do they even feel what I feel? And then it happens. After years of guarded hearts, after countless nights of questioning, after endless moments of pulling away, an avoidant finally looks at you, breaks the silence, drops the armor, and says the three words you thought you might never hear: I love you. Think about that for a second. These aren't just words. From an avoidant, those words are a revolution. Because for someone who has spent their entire life avoiding vulnerability, running from closeness, and protecting themselves from emotional danger, saying, I love you, isn't just about romance. It's about surrender. It's about finally letting go of fear and choosing trust. But here's the truth. Most people misunderstand what it really means when an avoidant says, I love you. They think it's the end of the battle, the moment everything becomes easy. No, it's not the finish line. It's the beginning of a transformation. Because when avoidants finally admit their love, it means they've fought an inner war most people never see. And in that battle, they've chosen connection over fear, closeness over distance, love over self, protection. Today, I want to walk you through what it really means when avoidants finally say those three words, what leads up to that moment, what it unlocks, and what it requires from you if you want to sustain it. Because if you understand this, you'll never look at those words the same way again. You'll recognize them for what they truly are, not a casual phrase, but a breakthrough, a door to a new chapter, a confession carved out of struggle. We're going to break this down into 6 powerful keys. Each one represents a layer of the transformation that happens inside an avoidant before those words ever leave their lips. And by the time we're done, you'll see why I love you from an avoidant carries a weight most people cannot even comprehend. So let's go deep. Let's uncover the truth. Because when an avoidant finally says, I love you, the world doesn't just shift for them. It shifts for you, too. When an avoidant finally says, I love you, what you're witnessing is not just a declaration, it's the collapse of a fortress. For years, maybe decades, they've built walls brick by brick, carefully constructing a system designed to keep love out while pretending they don't need it. They've convinced themselves they are safer alone, stronger without relying on anyone, more in control when they withhold. Every word they never said, every emotion they suppressed, was another layer of armor protecting them from what they feared most: rejection, abandonment, and loss of independence. So when they finally say those words, it's proof that the armor cracked. It's evidence that something in you, in the way you showed up, in the way you stood strong in their storm, gave them a reason to take the risk. You see, for an avoidant, saying, I love you, is not automatic. It doesn't flow from them easily like it might from someone secure or anxious. Instead, it is calculated, wrestled with, delayed, fought against. They may rehearse it in their mind 100 times and still stay silent because the fear feels greater than the reward. But what happens when they do finally speak it? It means the internal scale tipped. It means that love finally outweighed fear. That for the first time, the idea of losing you feels more painful than the idea of exposing their heart. That's massive. You might think it's small because it's just 3 words, but to them, it's a battle scar, a symbol of victory over their own resistance. When they say, I love you, they're not just affirming how they feel about you. They're rewriting a lifelong belief that love is dangerous. They're taking their most vulnerable truth and putting it in your hands, trusting you not to drop it. And here's the thing, it doesn't come out casually. Often, you'll notice their voice crack slightly, their eyes dart away for a second, their body tense as if they're bracing for impact. That's because those words are the scariest thing they've ever admitted. To you, it's joy. To them, it's risk. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. So never dismiss it. Never think, oh, they should have said it sooner. Understand the magnitude. Appreciate the courage. Because for an avoidant, I love you isn't a routine phrase. It's a breakthrough. It's an act of rebellion against their own defenses. It's proof that love, real love, conquered fear. There is a moment that feels almost surreal, almost like the universe has paused for a second just to honor it. A moment you never thought you would hear, A moment you may have begged for silently, cried for privately, prayed for desperately, and then it happens. The words escape their lips, the words you thought they were incapable of saying. After all the pulling away, after all the shutting down, after all the mixed signals, you finally hear them, "I love you." Now, when a secure person says those words, it feels natural, even expected. When an anxious person says those words, it feels urgent and emotional. But when an avoidant says those words, it's a seismic event, it's an earthquake inside their soul. Because they have spent their entire life running from this moment, they have trained themselves to keep distance, to build walls, to stay safe by staying unattached. Their silence wasn't indifference, it was self-protection. Their distance wasn't cruelty, it was fear. So when those three words finally break through the barrier, it's not just love, it's transformation. It means they have battled their demons and chosen connection over control. It means they have allowed themselves to be seen in the one area they swore they'd never reveal. And make no mistake, this moment is not about comfort. It's about courage. But here's the mistake most people make. They think this is the end of the journey. They think, finally, they've said it. Now everything will be easy. No, it doesn't work like that. "I love you" from an avoidant is not the final chapter. It's the opening page of a new book. It's the beginning of their vulnerability. It's proof of growth, but also a call to responsibility. Because for them to get there, something powerful had to happen inside. Today, I want to break down what this moment really means. 6 truths that unfold when an avoidant finally admits love. 6 breakthroughs that explain why this is not just a phrase, it's a revelation. When an avoidant finally says, "I love you," you are witnessing the collapse of a fortress they've built for decades. Imagine a castle with high stone walls, surrounded by a moat, guarded with soldiers who never let anyone in. That's the emotional world of an avoidant. Every wall was built by a past wound. Every stone was cemented by fear, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of betrayal. Their walls didn't mean they didn't feel love. Quite the opposite. They often feel deeply, but they bury it because to express it would mean danger. So what does it mean when they finally let you in? It means that love has become stronger than fear. It means that your presence in their life has proven safer than their self-protection. For years, they told themselves that closeness would cost them their freedom. But when they say, "I love you," it's proof that closeness has become more valuable than distance. It's important to realize the battle they fought to get there. An avoidant doesn't arrive at those words overnight. They wrestle with them. They rehearse them. They bite them back in moments where they almost let them slip. Sometimes you'll see it in their eyes. They want to say it, but the fear clamps their throat shut. And then one day the weight of silence becomes heavier than the risk of speaking. When they say it, it's not just to comfort you. It's not to check a box. It's not to meet a demand. It's a confession. It's a risk. It's a surrender. They are handing you the one weapon that could hurt them the most, their heart, and trusting that you won't use it against them. That's why this moment should never be underestimated. The second truth about an avoidant finally saying, "I love you," is this: it is not casual, it is calculated. You see, for most people, "I love you" can slip out in a rush of emotion, in a romantic moment, in a heat of passion. But for an avoidant, those words are heavy, deliberate, and carefully chosen. They don't say it unless they mean it. In fact, they avoid saying it precisely because they don't want to lie to themselves or to you. So when they do say it, it carries a weight that is almost unmatched. They have considered the risk. They have analyzed the consequences. And despite all of that, they chose to speak it. That means they have reached a tipping point where denying their feelings hurts more than admitting them. Think about how powerful that is. Most people underestimate how rare this is for them. Avoidants often see emotions as dangerous, almost like fire. They admire it from a distance, but they don't want to get burned. But when they finally lean into it, when they finally risk it, they are stepping into a fire they've avoided their entire life. That's how much you mean to them. That's how real it is. And here's what you need to know when they say, "I love you." They are not saying it lightly. They are saying, "I trust you with the deepest, most dangerous truth I've hidden." And when you understand that, you will never take it for granted. The third truth, when an avoidant finally says, I love you, it's a declaration of safety. For them, love has always felt unsafe. Growing up, they may have learned that love equals control, love equals disappointment, love equals abandonment. So they built a belief that independence equals safety, distance equals control, silence equals protection. But when they say those words, it means you have created a space so safe that their nervous system finally relaxes. It means that being with you doesn't feel like a threat, it feels like home. It's not that they suddenly stopped fearing intimacy. It's that your consistency, your patience, your authenticity convinced them that intimacy with you might be worth the risk. That's why the words, I love you, are not just about emotion, they're about trust. They don't just love you, they feel safe enough to admit it. And for an avoidant, safety is the foundation of everything. Without it, they retreat. With it, they expand. The fourth truth, when an avoidant says, I love you, it's a shift in identity. Up until this point, their identity has been wrapped around being independent, self-reliant, untouchable. Love challenges that. Love requires interdependence. Love requires being seen. For them to say, I love you, they have to rewrite their self-image. This isn't small. It's not just a phrase. It's a rebirth. They are saying, I'm not just someone who runs anymore. I'm not just someone who hides anymore. I'm someone who can love and admit it. That's not just growth, it's transformation. It's the first step in a new story where they're no longer bound by fear. The fifth truth, when an avoidant says, I love you, it doesn't mean they'll suddenly be perfect at expressing it. This is crucial to understand. That moment of confession doesn't erase years of conditioning. It doesn't suddenly flip a switch that makes them emotionally fluent. You may still see them retreat at times. You may still feel their walls rise occasionally. But here's the difference: now you know the truth. Now you know what's behind the silence. It's not that they don't care, it's that they're learning. They're practicing. They're building new emotional muscles. That's why patience is essential. Don't expect perfection. Celebrate progress. Every time they lean in instead of pull away, that's growth. Every time they choose closeness over distance, that's love in action. The sixth truth, when an avoidant says, I love you, it's an invitation. They are inviting you into the most fragile, sacred part of themselves. And that invitation requires responsibility. Because the worst thing you can do is demand it, rush it, or dismiss it. The best thing you can do is honor it, handle it with care, understand the weight behind it. For them, saying, I love you, is not just about how they feel, it's about giving you access to their soul. And when you honor that with patience, consistency, and love, you allow them to grow into the best version of themselves. When an avoidant finally says, I love you, it's not just a phrase, it's a breakthrough. It's the tearing down of walls that have stood for years. It's the victory of love over fear. And it's a reminder that true love often requires patience, understanding, and persistence. It's important to see this moment not as the end of a struggle, but as the beginning of a transformation. For them, it's a new chapter in their life. For you, it's a chance to witness the extraordinary growth of someone who once believed they could never let love in. Love from an avoidant is not fragile. It's forged in fire. It's tested in silence. It's proven in patience. And when they finally admit it, you're not just hearing words. You're hearing the sound of fear breaking, of chains falling, of a soul expanding. Never underestimate this. Never dismiss it. Understand it, honor it, and cherish it. Because when an avoidant says, I love you, you are experiencing something rare, powerful, and deeply transformative. And maybe, just maybe, it's not only their breakthrough, it's yours too. Thank you for sharing your time and energy to listen to this message. Remember, love is not about speed, it's about depth. If you've been waiting for those words, know this: patience, consistency, and authenticity create the space for transformation. And when it comes, it will be worth every second of waiting. Stay strong, stay loving, and never underestimate the power of connection. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.